Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 17th regular meeting of the Louis Riel School Board of Trustees. To those that are joining us online and those that are in the room, we're glad to see you tonight and to have you be a part of our work and our conversations. I want to start this evening by acknowledging the sadness and grief that has descended, if you will, among the inhabitants, the families, the parents, the friends of the students and teacher that were killed in Tumbler Ridge Secondary School a week ago in School District 59, which is Peace River South. I can't even begin to fathom what they're going through and what they are going to continue to go through and have to navigate over the coming days, weeks, months, and certainly years. It is a horrific situation, and it has galvanized communities and provinces in our country with sadness and with a hope for healing and in the time that it takes and the way that it takes for everyone to do that and to support one another. And so I would ask all of you to rise as you are able for a moment of silence. Thank you. Begin this evening with a land acknowledgement, this evening brought to us by Trustee Palmquist.
Thank you. I express on behalf of the board a personal acknowledgement of my connection to the land and our division's connection to the First Peoples of this land. I was born in British Columbia on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I live today in Treaty 1 territory in the St. Natal neighborhood, a historic Métis community and part of the national homeland of the Red River Métis. I own land in the historic territory of the present-day Roseau River First Nation, near a river named in French for the Kiniza-Zinowake Sipi, the Anishinaabe word meaning reed in French of the same meaning. I serve as a trustee in a division named for Louis Riel, the officially recognized first premier of Manitoba and the historic and spiritual leader of the Métis Nation. I also work professionally in the field of addiction and homelessness, where there's an outsized representation and impact of the impacts of colonization, serving a predominantly Indigenous population under the governance of the Reaching Home Indigenous Funding Partnership of the federal government.
Thank you very much, Trustee Palmquist. So just so that everyone is aware, we have a question period at the end of our meeting. If there is anything that arises during our work that you would like some clarity on, and also that we record our meetings to ensure that our minutes as we share them are accurate. While we do that, and we sometimes have pictures taken, unless you've asked and received permission in advance, we would ask you not to do so. Our vision is for all members of our community to excel as caring, confident, capable, and resilient lifelong learners who contribute to a democratic and sustainable world. And our mission is to provide a safe, inclusive, and engaging environment where personal and collective learning are valued and each one of us reaches our full potential. First item of business is to approve our agenda for our meeting this evening. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Trustee Walker, Trustee Semenyola. Any questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. The minutes from the regular board meeting of February 3rd have been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, we will accept those as they were distributed and archive accordingly. News from the Board of Trustees this evening is being brought to us by Trustee Walker.
Thank you, Trustee Nemeth. First off, I went to a celebration at Nelson Mack Collegiate. I had the pleasure of attending the Propel presentations on January 26th, where students shared thoughtful and creative passion projects developed through the Propel program, LRSD's interdisciplinary project-based learning environment. Propel allows students to pursue an individualized area of interest while earning credits in a flexible, mentorship-supported setting that emphasizes creativity, inquiry, and real-world learning. During the session, I was inspired by the breadth of student work, including a beautifully detailed exploration of Japanese architecture, an engaging presentation on hip hop music shaped by a student's upbringing with two musician parents, and an imaginative project combining hand-knit dolls with a graphic novel to bring an original story to life. Their passion and confidence showcased exactly what Propel is designed to cultivate: deep learning driven by curiosity, creativity, and student voice. The next thing I wrote about here was something I heard about from my son Max, who attends Annie Bergeron. They went to go visit the residents at Action Marguerite, which is a seniors home in St. Boniface, to build with snow outside the windows while the residents watched from indoors. I thought it was just such a simple, beautiful act of kindness, a moment of joy and a winter day that connected generations through creativity, compassion, and community spirit. Hearing about our students brightening someone else's day reminds me just how powerful small gestures. The kids had a lot of fun doing it. And next off is another event from Annie Bergeron. My family attended a Valentine's Day fundraiser a couple of weeks ago. We went to the Danse de la Saint Valentin at Champlain Community Club on February 7th. The event was organized by the Club Nature as a student-led fundraiser for a local dog shelter, brought together by so many friends and warm, friendly community members. With lively music, families dancing in the gym, and even puppies available for adoption, the evening was full of joy and connection. A perfect reminder how vibrant and caring our community truly is. On to CJS. I had the opportunity to attend the night market. It was a pleasure attending my old high school. They had the night market for Black History Month on February 12th, 2006. And the highlight for me was the music. Alpha Toshiniza's performance brought incredible energy to the evening. His francophone hip hop filled the space with rhythm and connection, setting the perfect tone for a celebration of Black culture. And the last thing that I'd like to share, I was pleased to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony at the St. Vital Museum on February 14th, where the community gathered to celebrate the beautifully completed restoration of the Red River Cart. The event highlighted the incredible fundraising efforts, the support of the Heritage Grant, and a dedication of volunteers who helped make the project possible. In addition to several members of our Legislative Assembly, city councilors, and our MP, I was joined by trustees Nordheim, Sigurdsson, and Bjornsson, and I know that Trustee Nemeth really wanted to make it, couldn't make it that day, so it was nice to see so many of my colleagues in attendance, and it was wonderful to join the community members and unveiling the refreshed display, which now more fully honors the Métis history and the story of this important cultural icon. And the person who had donated the card, it sounds like it had sat in a field for a number of years. And he was telling us stories about how they would pull it through the community during parades. And a really nice get together with folks from the community.
You've been busy. Thank you very much for sharing. News from the senior leadership team this evening from Assistant Superintendent Kaplan.
Thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to bring some updates from a few of the schools in the Dakota and Nelson Mack families of schools. We'll start with Archwood. On January 29th, the school hosted a winter concert that clearly reflected our MYSP priority of connecting to community by bringing together students, staff, and families in a shared celebration of learning in the arts. It was a beautiful and memorable evening that celebrated student achievement, strengthened relationship with families, and highlighted the vital role of arts in building a connected and inclusive school community. Next up, Dakota Collegiate, UN student group. Participated in the UNAC Winnipeg branch's multi-sectoral gathering at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. The events celebrate artists, community leaders, and local organizations working to support people and our planet. DCI shared their learning about the UN Sustainable Development Goals and UNDRIP. Engaging visitors in conversations about issues ranging from zero hunger to gender equality to climate action. By hosting 2 interactive tables, they both taught and learned, exchanging ideas with community members and deepening their understanding of how local action connects to global change. HS Pulse School, January 22nd, grade 7-8 band concert and assembly led by Mr. Tyborowski was a wonderful success, warmly attended by parents, guardians, and grandparents, and a fantastic celebration of the students' musical growth and talent. Grade 7-8s are learning about human rights, and they'll deepen their social studies learning, while kindergarten through grade 6 students will be celebrating their 100th day of school. Festival de Voyageurs. On February 20th, kindergarten to grade 6 students will participate in the school's Festival de Voyageurs activities, featuring indoor and outdoor experiences that celebrate Voyageur and Métis culture. The grade 7-8 students will attend the Festival de Voyageurs at Whittier Park, immersing themselves in Manitoba's rich cultural history. They are especially excited to welcome, as always, popular Franco-Manitoba musicians, Bandoline. They will lead them in celebrating traditional French Canadian music. Marion School, Indigenous Arts and Culture. Marion School continues to deepen its commitment to Indigenous education through vibrant hands-on arts and land-based learning opportunities. This year, several student groups are engaging in culturally rooted programming guided by community knowledge keepers and local instructors. A boys drumming group has constructed a traditional big drum under the mentorship of knowledge carrier Eric Flett, learning both the teachings and possibilities connected to drum creation. Interesting is that drum was created in the practical arts area of Nelson Mack, so it's always great to see our schools connecting in that way. And that says they're putting it together. And another student group crafted their own hoops and is preparing to begin hoop dancing with instruction from local hoop dancer April Bernay. In addition, a girls drumming group is building their own hand drums with the support of instructor Carrie Bird, strengthening connection, leadership, and community through song. Building on Marion's land-based learning focus, the grade 7-8 classes are beginning a land-based inquiry project in partnership with Nelson McIntyre Collegiate and members of the LRST Indigenous Learning Team. Their work will culminate in an ice fishing experience, providing students with meaningful opportunities to learn on the land and explore Indigenous knowledge systems firsthand. Together, these initiatives reflect Marion's ongoing efforts to honor Indigenous ways of knowing, being, and doing while fostering pride, cultural connection, and experiential learning for all students. Nordale School, I Love to Read Month. February is always I Love to Read Month. And like many schools, Nordale is celebrating with an Olympic theme with guest readers, including a parent who is an Olympic volleyball player. So the kids got a kick out of that. Annual Parent Council Pancake Breakfast on February 11th. Nordale held their annual pancake breakfast to mark Festival de Voyageurs. Each year, their wonderful parent council puts on a huge spread for the entire school population. And lastly, for today, PBLL, Learning on the Land, for his personal project-based leadership learning, Justin Bell has gone on a 16-week learning on the land journey with the kindergarten students. The project involves the classroom teachers, EAs, Kukum Judy and Principal Justin Bell. They have had two very special gatherings so far. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you very much. Thanks to both of you for starting us off so nicely. Item number 4 is finance and audit. There's a few items here. Funding of schools announcement was on February 9th, and our Secretary Treasurer will provide a little bit of context to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So last Monday, we received a funding announcement from the provincial government. We received an increase in funding of $4.3 million or 3.7%. Now that we've received our allocation for the next school year, the trustees, your leadership will be discussing and adjusting the preliminary budget that we presented to the community, and we'll be adjusting it based on community feedback, needs, and strategic objectives of the school division.
That takes us to any questions or comments? Okay, that takes us to 4.2, financial update for the second quarter.
Yeah, so the financial update for as of December 31st, 2025, we've received. There we go. So our total budget right now is $274,988,028, and we have received $113,983,147, and that is 41.5%. That is very similar to last year at 42.8%. As for our regular expenditures, our total expenditures is $99,102,784, or 36.3% spent, and last year we were at 36.7% spent. So we should be around 40% spent right now, as that represents really 4 full months of the school year. Of note right now is on our revenue line, other provincial support. We show a decrease of 49.3%, whereas last year we received 57.6% at the same time last year. This variance is solely attributed to the change in the timing of distribution and revenue recognition of the provincial grant, and it does not reflect an overall reduction in provincial funding. And on the other side, we are experiencing, like I said, the same percentage of expenditures from prior year. What is emerging right now is a few cost pressures that will probably start being reflected in Q3. The most significant cost pressure is our substitute usage and sick leave costs across both teaching and non-teaching staffing groups. We're trending higher than budgeted, and so we'll be starting to see an increase in expenditures in Q3. In addition, we have unanticipated security upgrade costs for our elementary schools, which will be implemented in Q3. This will result in additional costs. These measures are necessary to enhance school safety, but were not included in the original budget. To offset these costs, we are actively reviewing expenditures and identifying cost-saving opportunities in other areas to offset these costs. So that is my update for Q2.
Questions on this report or this update, Trustee Semenyola?
Thanks for the report. You mentioned to anticipate substitute costs going up in Q3. Do you mind just highlighting a couple factors that will be driving that? Or I sense it's probably trending that way.
Yeah. Essentially our substitute costs are increasing because of our increased sick leave liability for teachers and EAs. And so that is higher than what we've experienced in the past and higher than what we budgeted for. In addition to that, the increase is also attributed to the increase in substitute costs for teachers that occurred because of the collective agreement. When we budgeted for those costs a year ago, those costs or that cost of substitute rates weren't known at the time. And so we used an estimation of that.
Any other questions? Okay, that then takes us to a promissory note.
Yeah, so this is for board motion where we are receiving a promissory note from the province of Manitoba for $112,000. And this is cost reimbursement for foundation constructural upgrades of J.H. Bruns Collegiate.
Okay. So the motion then is that the issue of the promissory note LTPS 0848, as it is deemed necessary and expedient to raise by loan the sum of $112,000 on the credit of the Louis Riel School Division for the purpose of financing capital projects be approved. I need a mover and seconder for this, please. Trustee Semenyola, Trustee Bjornson. Questions on the motion? Trustee Bjornson.
Thank you.
Sorry. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you very much. We have one item under staffing, which is a vice principal appointment, and through the superintendent to Assistant Superintendent Anderson.
The opening that is being brought before you this evening was created when one of the current vice principals at Collège Béliveau, Ayo Aramu, was appointed principal at École Guillaume to replace Colette Daly, who will retire at the end of the school year. I am pleased to bring forward the name of Véronique Reynolds for the board's consideration. Madame Reynolds is currently a member of Alariste's Indigenous Education.
So the recommendation and subsequent motion is that Véronique Reynolds be appointed as vice principal at Collège Béliveau effective August 1st of 2026. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Sigurdsson, Trustee Kolachek. Questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried, thank you, and congratulations to Véronique. We wish you great success in your new role. Senior leadership team information to the board. First one through the superintendent to Director Bandari, I believe is on the line. She's making the report. Or is,
Yep, she's online.
okay, sorry, I'm sorry, Amber, go right ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to present the progress report on the implementation of controlled measures in our LRSD schools. So the report provides an overview of the systems that we've selected to install at our schools. And these are IP-based systems to allow for future integration with lockdown, signaling, CCTV feeds, and mass notification platforms. And we have also contacted other school divisions to learn what systems they have been using. And they're also using very similar platform for security measures in their schools. And the report also provides the complete scope of work that will be undertaken as part of this initiative. So there will be updates to the existing fob readers, new access control doors, and new video intercom systems that will be implemented, as well as the new video intercom consoles at our schools. So the budget price for this project for just the access control is $833,751. We have also taken into account that there could be some unforeseen conditions and other additional hardware that might be required for doors. So we have also included a contingency of 10%, which is like $83,375.10. The report also provides a schedule at this point for this work to begin in March. And we are hoping to have this all completed before the end of school year in all our elementary schools, but the high school work will be done during summer months. So, but before the start of the next school year, we're hoping all this will be completed. And our schedule may get affected if there is any additional or specialized hardware might be required. So we're kind of considering that as we're going through schools, and if we're coming across any of these needs, we're able to order those and then keep ourselves on track. So I'll be closely working with the contractor to ensure that this schedule is not affected by any of these unforeseens, but we'll try our best. In terms of the access fobs, we have already distributed access fob to all our elementary school staff. I put together this report last week, so the update is that we have been able to provide fobs to all elementary school staff, and which we were hoping to do it by tomorrow. And the total expenditure is about, for 2,500 fobs, is about $23,000, $847.25. And for the visitor logs, the signing app is being piloted at 4 schools, Samuel Berland, Ecole Van Bellingham, College Belleville, and Nelson McIntyre Collegiate in the week of February 18th, that's this week. And the cost associated with the subscription is about $32,595 in USD. And one-time cost for the kiosk is $77,080.36. That's also in USD. And for 41 iPads, it's about $22,858.51. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, any questions for our Director of Facilities? All right, seeing none, thank you very much for your report, most appreciated.
Thank you.
Item 6.2, accessibility plan updates through the superintendent to Assistant Superintendent Anderson.
Yes, good evening. Trustees will recall that they have seen the Employment Accessibilities Practices Administrative Protocol twice this year. It was adopted on November 18th of 2025 and subsequently revised on January 27th of 2026. So quite recently. The report that I'm bringing forward this evening is to inform you that our practices have been reviewed by Manitoba's Accessibility Secretariat and have found to be compliant. So bringing forward the information with you that we are meeting the province's legislative expectations in matters of accessible employment standard.
Great, thank you. Any questions on this? All right, thank you very much. Item 6.3, our leadership team met last week, and our Director of Information Technology Systems is going to share. Oh, there you are. I looked that way. You moved on me. Yep, share that one.
Thank you, Chair. So as you know, we meet once a month as leadership. It's about 130-ish people, mostly school administrators, parts of senior leadership, and other people, specialist people from around the division. And we've been meeting like once a month, and the goal this year is for everybody to think of their learning, and it's been project-based learning. And so when we met in August, we set goals to create what we call a project-based learning and focus on our project for the year. And so as we've been progressing through these months, we also do exit surveys, and based on what our membership tell us of how the days are going, what they want to see for the next meeting to help them with through their learning, we adjust our days to accommodate all of those requests. And for the February meeting, what we heard from a high majority of people is they were struggling a little bit. They were floundering in a good way. They made very ambitious goals for their learning, and they needed some help to think about how they were going to get to the end product of an artifact of their learning. How do they create that artifact? And part of the process is they were struggling with how do they evaluate, how do they reflect on what they have learned. And so what you see up on the screen here is what so 2 people took on the day Marnie Wilson, our data strategy officer, and Nicole Major, our principal of school and classroom support. They took on the planning of what this day would look like based on that feedback from the membership or from our employees. And I think I need to especially say that Marnie Wilson really took thunder on wing to facilitate this session. And Nicole was a massive support. And what they focused on was helping people to figure out the fusion of the wonderment of seeing an artifact and growth and impact. And that was a good chunk of the day. And it might seem like, well, it's just three simple things. But once you get through figuring out what all of these three categories are and how they can be digested and put into motion to say, okay, this is my end product. This is what I'm going to share with the this is what I learned. And then the impact is really like not so much what they learned, but what was the impact of their community, what was the impact on their students, on their staff, depending on what their project was. And more importantly, how do I know I'm having an impact? And it's really about the gathering of the evidence and the looking at the data. It was just such a huge thing to consider. That's what the day was really focused on. And the feedback, which we were looking at today, really shows that there was a massive progress. And now they're saying, okay, I get it now. And now I'm ready to focus on my artifact in the March meeting. So an overall fairly successful day.
Questions from the group? Sounds like it was an interesting
Full day.
conversation and a full day on that. And everybody felt back on track after they were getting some assistance.
Good chunks.
Yes, well, work in progress, right? Trustee Sigurdsson.
The term artifact come from? That common usage of this type of thing?
Honestly,
Interesting word to describe what
yeah,
the product.
I think that was probably from Christian. I'm not too sure actually. We were talking about product, and then it became artifact.
Okay.
Because I think it opened it up to be. We didn't want to say it's a report, or we didn't want to say it's one thing. We wanted to open up to anybody could express their learning in diverse ways. I think that's where it came from.
Interesting term.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, that takes us to 6.4, updated enrollment to the superintendent.
To help folks follow along, I can have our secretary treasurer open the link to the student enrollment dashboard. That's the public dashboard. Folks at home could even follow along if they're on our website. So our student enrollment as of 4:30 today is sitting at 17,502. So when we look at enrollment trends, without even going into the report, we stay at that where we were back. You look at enrollment trends, we can see that those September 30th enrollment numbers, we can see a slight dip when comparing September 30th, 24 to September 30th, 2025 this fall. And when we compare that September 30th enrollment to today's number, both those September 30th were trending up again, is the takeaway. So it might be that enrollment suggests that enrollment, that slight enrollment dip isn't a trend, but rather we're trending back up. So we make available to the public. It's updated every weekday at 4:30 in the afternoon. All kinds of information, and student enrollment is a part of that information. So for those listening online, those in the room, if ever you're interested, you can dig deeper. You can click on any one of these thumbnails to see more information. So if we look at the first one, division enrollment, we click on that thumbnail, we get more detailed views of That enrollment playing out across all grades and schools. We can see a breakdown by different groupings. For example, 14.6% of students self-declare as Indigenous. But if I just click on that slice of the pie, we can see how that plays out differently in different schools. And so if I click back out and choose a school, say Lavalley School, the percentage should change. And maybe not. Oh, it did. Yes, good. Wasn't for me on my computer, but it did here. And so we can see how the dashboards are interactive, and by simply being curious and clicking on a bar or a pie, we slice and filter visuals, better understand what it all means in specific school communities. If we go back by clicking the little arrow at the top, we can see that we're providing the public with more detailed information about program enrollment. So we have two big programs in LRSD, French immersion. 33% of students are enrolled. Provincial average is 15, so we're quite a bit above that. And that's come as a result of a community's collective efforts and shared beliefs and values, and commitment to living those values and beliefs. And we mustn't ever take any of that for granted. It takes time and commitment, dialogue that has got to be nurtured always. So again, if we want to better understand that programming enrollment, we can click into that thumbnail and explore. Secretary Treasurer, do you want to into that thumbnail? Explore alongside. And we can see how that programming enrollment plays out across schools, over grades. And when we look at enrollment trends, go back to the thumbnails, we can also better understand those enrollment trends relative to programming or any given school. By just being curious, clicking on a bar or a school, and allowing questions to come to mind, and avoiding judgments. Avoiding judging too quickly, suggesting we know what we're seeing, have a full grasp. I think coming to these dashboards with humility and curiosity is the message I want to impart this evening.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions? Trustee Palmquist.
Two quick comments. One, it's driving me nuts that the program enrollment chart has rounded up to 7%. It's so close to being a nice, perfect little clean fraction there. And anyways, I wanted to see, I think it's a great tool on enrollment trends. Would it be possible to consider extending that back a few more years? I just look at it, and the starting year is such a remarkable year in terms of trends, in terms of trends that ended or began that particular year. And it would just be might be interesting to highlight. I mean, obviously you can expand it, but
Yeah, like if you click
think-
into it, we
yeah,
actually go 10 years out, but we could also go beyond that to
anyways, it's great. It's a great setup. Love it. Obviously, we've looked at it before. It might be nice to that data jumps out, especially the 2020. Although I suppose over time, another year into the future, some of that will be blunted a little bit. But nonetheless, thank you for the presentation.
Trustee Savignola?
My only question is, when we go back to the dashboard, and maybe I just don't know how to go through it the right way. Is, I was looking for what was the number by the end of the school year or around this time last year. So this year it's 1758, but the number that I saw there is giving me what it was on September 30th of last school year.
That's right.
So I'm not able to, from this data, I'm not able to see what we were at the end of the year last year completely,
Yeah,
because
so what-
I don't think that was the number we ended this school year at.
Yes, okay, so one needs to understand is we're capturing in time one important date, one data set, an important date, and that is September 30th enrollment. Because that's what we communicate to government.
Yeah.
And that's what government uses to determine our funding, and many other things. What we do differently from others and what we do differently from why we approach data in the past is we provide ourselves daily updates. But we don't capture in time all of those daily updates. They're really meant to be just that, daily updates on the data. And so that the important data points are that September 30th enrollment that we capture. We also capture for ourselves internally the data we see at the very start of September. Because that first month is really an important month where we're looking at enrollment data several times a day, to be honest. For some classrooms, we literally are checking in more than once a day to determine whether we're going to add a teacher or not, or add an educational assistant or not, through the month of September. And that at all is not an embellishment, not an exaggeration. And then, but we don't capture all of these data points at every moment in time in a database. That just becomes just too much data to be holding on to and making sense of. And so that's why you're right now not able to say, let me go back in time on that same day. I mean, like, let's go back February 17th of last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We don't hold on to all of those.
Yeah, and I understand that point, but it just when we're talking about a trend over there, we're referring specifically to a trend at a date in time, which is significant that we report to the government, as you rightly stated. But I'm thinking like a table that showed where we are at June 30th, like as a second data point.
That is another data point that we share internally. So if you'd like to see that information, we can provide that.
Okay, perfect, yeah, and I want to see what was end of June in relation to where we're at right now.
That we do.
Trustee Palmquist?
Just one more friendly feedback and don't want to create any work for anyone. I just wanted to throw out a suggestion, especially when I click through some of the individual schools and their enrollment trends. The graphs, they go up, they down, each of them tells a story, and many of those stories emerge in my mind of when we changed a catchment here or when we moved a grade there or whatever. And it might be a neat feature if there was like a narrative element to some of these stories, like our school, especially the highlights, you know, where major changes took place, when we hauled all the grade 7 and 8s over to another school, or when we radically moved a catchment boundary or something like that.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of what we're developing. So it's how we approach, say, that annual report that you're going to see. The inaugural report was this November, full day K. So we have a dashboard on, if you go right now, if we were to go to the dashboard, the public dashboard, you have a full day K report. And that is more narrative, just the way you're describing.
Yeah.
And my desire is for that to be reported on every year for as long as it takes for us to convince the rest of the province to come along and make full day K happen like it has already for the vast majority.
Any other questions? All right, under policy, we have 2 items. The first one is to give second reading to a policy, and I will turn to Assistant Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you. Policy GBEBB received first reading at the November 4th regular meeting. Following that, on November 13th, principals and vice principals were briefed on the policy and had an opportunity to provide feedback as well. In turn, they presented an overview of the policy to staff using a provided PowerPoint presentation. And that occurred in the last week of November, either at the staff meeting or the professional development day on November 25th. So the policy serves to meet new legislative requirements that came into effect this past June. It serves to strengthen safeguards around staff-student interactions and to protect students while providing clarity for staff and volunteers. In this first round of feedback, we received 618 responses. It was a very high level of participation, and the overall results were in favor of the intention of the policy, but a significant number, 43%, felt that clarification was needed. So you have before you this evening a revised version that reflects what we heard in the first round of feedback. So in the version that you see this evening, the policy, you'll note that the intent of the policy has been clarified, very expressly stated, and reporting expectations in the policy have been streamlined. The administrative protocol, which accompanies the policy, has had definitions added for clarity, and some examples which were found to be confusing have been removed. Clarification was also added to the administrative protocol regarding incidental or unavoidable contact in community settings. You run into a student at a grocery store, for example. Contact outside of school and electronic communications. So the version you have before you this evening for second reading, again, will go through a feedback process. Principals will be sharing a PowerPoint presentation with staff at the February staff meeting and requesting feedback from them. And we will also be asking for public feedback by way of a spotlight story. And these data points will be used to inform the final version that will come before you for consideration later this spring.
Okay, thank you. So the motion then is that the following policy administrative protocol reviewed by the Policy Review Committee receive second reading and be further reviewed in committee and brought back for a third reading at a future date. Policy GBEBB, staff interactions with students and the administrative protocol. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Bjornson, second by Trustee Kolacek. Questions or comments on the motion? Trustee Nordheim.
Under procedures, it complete all required training as directed by the division, including additional training required for all coaches. So who's responsible for that, and how does that work with volunteer coaches outside of the schools?
So this is an expectation that is in place already, and it's around the Respect in School program and Respect in Sport program.
So it's the online.
It's an online
Okay.
training.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried, thank you.
It didn't come up for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes or no?
I said yes.
Trustee Simeon.
Yes.
The next one is an update to a protocol.
Yes, thank you. This is a protocol that actually came before you relatively recently for a clarification. This is LRSD's protocol for the resolution of concerns, and it was brought before you in November to add some clarifying elements to the policy related to exemptions from processes to resolve concerns, essentially stating that where normally you would, a parent with a concern would approach their child's teacher and try to resolve it at that level before proceeding to supervisory authority. The clarification brought in November was that, of course, if this is a matter of child endangerment, a child in need of protection, that that process is bypassed and the concern is immediately taken to Child and Family Services. An additional note of clarification has been added, and this is in response to a request that the Commissioner for Teacher Professional Conduct has made of all school divisions, and that is to make our community aware that the ministry has created the Office of the Commissioner of Teacher Professional Conduct to review concerns about professional conduct and competence of certified teachers and school clinicians, and to include an address, a website address where more information can be found. So that clarification has been added so that when folks are looking for how to resolve a concern, that they are aware of the office's existence and how they may also support in that process.
Thank you. Questions on this date? All right, seeing none, thank you. This takes us to correspondence. We have a few pieces that were sent from the department, and as well as some letters from community. There was correspondence that was sent out, some in response, and then correspondence received from the Manitoba School Boards Association, specifically to the Reconciliation Partnership Award, National Award that's coming up, and then just the usual or the monthly bulletin. Did anybody have any questions on any of these? All right, that takes us to action items. We have the first one is enrollment redirection to the superintendent to Assistant Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. The board will recall that we have been facing enrollment pressures at various schools in the division over the past number of years. There have been occasions recently where the board has passed motions to redirect students from schools whose enrollment has reached a critical point. In the motion before you, you're reminded of past motions related to enrollment pressures at Sage Creek School and École Sage Creek Bonavista. And the authorization that you had provided the superintendent at that time to monitor enrollment at specific grades and to redirect new registrants and any siblings for English program to Shamrock School or French immersion program to École Van Bellingham. The motion before you this evening relates to planning for next year and recognizing that École Sage Creek Bonavista and Sage Creek School are both continuing to face severe enrollment pressures. You have reports before you that detail those enrollment numbers. And the motion before you essentially authorizes the past motions to be extended until such time as enrollment pressures cease.
Okay. So then the motion is whereas board motions 2024-081 and 2025-010 addressed enrollment pressures at Sage Creek School and École Sage Creek Bonavista by authorizing the superintendent to close enrollment at specific grades and redirect new registrants and any siblings to Shamrock School for English program and École Van Bellingham for French immersion program. And whereas enrollment pressures are expected to continue at Sage Creek School and École Sage Creek Bonavista during the 2026-2027 and beyond, therefore be it resolved that the superintendent's report and recommendation to address enrollment pressures at SCS and ESCB for short for the 2026-27 school year received as information, and that motions 2024-081 and 2025-010 be extended to apply throughout the 26-27 school year and until further notice. I need a seconder for these, please. Trustee Kovalchuk, second by trustee Walker, thank you. Questions or comments on the motion? Trustee Palmquist.
Oh, yeah, our school, our 9.2, right, is the one we just moved on?
9-1.
Oh, sorry, I thought we just voted on that. Okay, never mind, I'll wait.
Okay. Trustee Simonyola?
So these motions that we had that are attached to this one, they were not grade specific, so we're saying that we'll leave it up to the administration at the school level or so to determine which grade we need to close or redirect. We don't have a grade, so I just want to clarify, I want to make sure I
So
understand it.
it is certainly the role of the principal to monitor enrollment, and they are in regular communication with the superintendent's department. And it's the superintendent who would determine at what point enrollments need to be redirected school to the other.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Motion is carried, thank you. So that takes us to 9.2, Schools of Choice Report. Back to you.
Very good, thank you. This is the time of year when trustees typically will adopt a motion closing specific schools to schools of choice applications. And this is in accordance with a section of the Public Schools Act. The schools that are being brought forward to you this year are very similar to the ones that were brought forward last year, but there are some changes. So I'll just go through the list with you. Collège Béliveau will remain closed. Dakota Collegiate will remain closed. Being added to the list new this year is Dr. D.W. Penner School, with grade 7 and 8 students having been added to the building. It is approaching capacity. Remaining on the list is École Guillot. New to the list this year is École Henri Bergeron. And of course, you will recall Henri Bergeron now receives grade 7 and 8 students from the École Varennes catchment area, which incidentally explains why École Varennes has been removed from the list. While École Varennes is relatively full, adopting, including them this year would not be necessary because there certainly will be space in specific grades at École Varennes. Also on the list, and not surprisingly, École Sage Creek Bonavista and Island Lakes Community School and École Sage Creek Bonavista. The Highbury School has been removed from the list for this current school year. J.H. Bruns and Marion School remain on the list, as does Sage Creek School. And new this year, Windsor Park Collegiate will be open to schools of choice.
Okay. So the motion is, whereas certain schools are experiencing significant enrollment pressures, be it resolved that the following schools be closed to schools of choice requests until further notice in accordance with section 58.41A of the Public Schools Act. Collège Béliveau, Dakota Collegiate, Dr. D.W. Penner School, École Guillot, École Henri Bergeron, École Sage Creek Bonavista, Island Lakes Community School, J.H. Bruns Collegiate, Marion School, and Sage Creek School, that special consideration may only be given in exceptional circumstances at the discretion of the superintendent of schools or their designates. I need a mover and seconder, please. Trustee Kovalchuk, trustee Palmquist. Questions on the motion, trustee Palmquist.
What's our total number of schools we have that are close to school of choice right now?
This current school year, it was 11 schools for 25-26, if that's what you were asking.
Yes.
Okay. Was there a follow-up question?
Someone else asked a question.
Trustee Peterson?
What would be an exceptional circumstance? What would an example of that?
An exceptional circumstance could be, for example, a student who has been at the school for many years, who is 1 year out of teaching. Typically, we have granted permission for them to remain for their final. That would be one such example.
Trustee Palmquist?
Yeah, okay, sorry. This is the complete list of schools that are close to school of choice. This, the ones that are continuing and the ones we're adding.
Correct.
So I had thought, was Glenmont Collegiate removed?
Glenmont Collegiate was not on the list last year.
Oh, okay, I thought they were. Is this, is there, is perhaps maybe the dashboard might reveal that. Is there any historic, is this an average number of schools that are close to school of choice, or is this higher than historically or lower? Imagine be higher, but.
My window of observation is perhaps more limited than others. Christian, would you?
Well, if you go back 10 years when our enrollment was hovering over 14,000, and if you go back 15, where it's closer to 40,000, we were a lot more open to schools of choice. But over the past 10 years, as you see those enrollments edge up, closing schools to schools of choice has become our new reality. Yeah. And I anticipate there'll be more schools close to schools of choice in the future. Not fewer.
Is there a follow-up question? Trustee Bjornson?
Just for clarification, you said exceptional circumstances would be somebody who's in the school and finished last year there. The way it reads to me is that where am I reading it now? That on a go-forward basis, that there would not be any more requests on it. So that doesn't sound right to me. Like, are you saying that we're going to tell students who gone through schools of choice they can no longer part of this?
No, this would be, for example, a family that lived in the school's catchment area until grade 11, and the family moved to another part of the city. And the student wants to continue at that high school to graduate with their classmates.
Okay, that makes sense. And are there any other possible examples that I'm just curious because it says exceptional circumstances. Is that the only circumstance?
No, it's not the only circumstance. Others have, it really is assessed on a case-by-case basis. Other examples may relate to childcare arrangements or specifically thinking of either licensed childcare or a family member who lives in the school's catchment area who will be providing childcare for a family. That's a very common one. Other situations may involve providing stability to a student who has experienced a number of changes and for whom it is seen as beneficial to continue at school.
So, sorry, one more, just program specific requests. If there's something unique about the school that they would like to send that one outside the catchment, is that being considered anymore?
It is. So we do receive requests, for example, for advanced placement programming at Dakota Collegiate, but the requests are not considered until that program is being taken. Whereas when the school had more room, a student may have been accepted to begin their studies in grade 9 at Dakota in anticipation of participating in the advanced placement program later. But at this point, the messaging has been you need to attend your catchment area high school until the year of that program.
Trustee Nordheim?
Football. There's still students being accepted into Dakota for the football program.
I can give you numbers for that. The number has decreased significantly, and I do not believe there were any other division schools of choice.
No, but in division, there's quite
In
a few.
division, the only applications that were accepted for this current school year were for the varsity program, because it was the only school in the division that offered a varsity football program.
And so what's the plan for this year? Like the school's packed, and do we actually check to make sure that they play football? Because that's been a reason for attending, right?
And perhaps Corey, you could.
Yeah, last year, for example, there was one grade 11 who internally from within Louis Riel School Division moved over, and so this there was no others. The grade 9s and 10s were all denied, and moving forward, it'd be a case by case basis for a student, depending on what was happening for that student. But as a rule, we haven't discussed further, but no other students were admitted to play football last year.
I mean, that would be, it's bursting. So my concern is that if that's the only way to get in, and you put that on your application, that's a concern.
That would not follow what happened this year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried, thank you.
Sorry, I'm in favor, I just.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Samuel in favor?
Refresh.
Oh, what's happening? That takes us to a bylaw related to ward boundaries and superintendent or secretary treasurer.
Thank you very much. So I brought forward in previous board meetings a situation where there is a discrepancy between the city of Winnipeg and the provincial maps for the ward boundaries. And this resulted from a administrative error back in 2022. And in order to match those maps, the province had requested a board motion just to reaffirm the ward boundaries that we had on file, along with what's on file with the city of Winnipeg. Subsequent to that request, they have now come back requesting that we have a bylaw to reaffirm that. And so today, this is why we are bringing forward this bylaw, is to satisfy the requirement by the province management bylaw.
So the motion is that bylaw 2025-2026-002 regarding adjustments to ward boundaries in the Louis Riel School Division receive first, second, and reading and finally be adopted. And a seconder, please. Trustee Semenyola and trustee Kolachuk. Questions on this? Trustee Sigurdson.
Not really a question, but just an observation that these maps still say Bishop Grandin. No, it's not your fault, but somebody should fix that eventually.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? And the motion is carried. Thank you. Senior election official for the City of Winnipeg election. Again, our Secretary Treasurer.
Yeah, so keeping in the theme of elections, this motion is to appoint a senior election officer from the City of Winnipeg to conduct the election, which is happening at the end of October this year. I believe the October 26th, 8th.
One of those two.
28th. Sorry, my pad died. October 28th. Yeah, and so in conjunction with that, we need to nominate a senior election official.
So the motion is that Sherwood Armbruster, City of Winnipeg election official, be appointed as the senior election official for the Louis Riel School Division Board election. The mover and seconder, please. Trustee Kolachek. Second, Trustee Walker. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Trustee Kolachek, capturing your vote.
Oh, sorry. Yes, yes.
Yes, in favor? Thank you. The motion is carried. The next motion is related to the distribution of board ballots for our upcoming MSBA convention. I'm going to speak to this one. Typically, the process has been at convention, somebody needs to sign for the board's ballots upon arriving at convention. I am registered to go. Trustee Nordheim is registered to go. I'm not sure who else is registered to go. Is anybody else attending at this point in time?
I am for.
The two of you are going? Okay.
First day.
Okay, all right. So I'll be there early. I don't mind picking them up. We need a second signature or somebody else can pick them up. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's somebody that's going to be there first thing. So are folks okay if it is Trustee Nordheim and myself that are on the list? All right, so in that case, the recommendation or the motion would be that the MSBA memorandum dated January 30th, 2026 regarding the distribution and casting of board ballots at the 2026 MSBA annual convention be received as information, and that Trustee Nemeth and Trustee Nordheim be nominated to accept the ballots. Mover and seconder, please. Trustee Simonyola, Trustee Walker. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? And that was a lackluster raising of hands, but that's okay. Got it. And the motion's carried. Thank you very much. All right, we've arrived at public question period. I'm just gonna look online first and see if there are any questions. I do not see any. No. All right, Jane Company, was shaking your heads. Thank you for joining us. We got all three of you today. That's great. Ina, yourself?
Yes. Not what I originally came here to ask, but just some questions on Christian's presentation on enrollment. Pardon me, I can't see the numbers. Once again, it's my eyesight across the thing, but I was on the dashboard earlier today. And so I guess I'm trying to understand, it looks to me when I look at the division enrollment, I'm seeing I think it was 1069 kindergarten and like 1772 grade 12s. So if I recall correctly, our largest cohort is the grade 12s. So I guess my question is, are we anticipating similar kindergarten enrollment this year or a huge spike?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, no, we're looking at kindergarten enrollment for next year. And we're projecting, we're not projecting a spike. We're projecting, if anything, we are projecting right now, if memory serves me well, it caught me off guard, right? So I don't
Yeah, no, I'm
data in
like,
front
I'm
of
not
me.
pulled unit, but roughly.
But roughly the same.
Okay, so I guess my observation is, if we've got 1069 in kindergarten, moving to grade 1, we got 1772 exiting grade 12. That's a delta of 700 students. So if we're not expecting a spike in kindergarten, I don't know, does the division, would you often experience 700 additional, I'm gonna call them walk-ups, people who have just moved to the community or whatever. So when we talk about enrollment, when we talk about, enrollment growth, when I look at the numbers, I'm predicting a second year of a decline. So I just don't know if you're seeing the data the same way I do. Maybe I'm missing something, but.
Well, what I've observed is that looking at September enrollment, both years, both this September and last September, as of today, we're up on those two numbers. Now, so I think what would be helpful in our conversation here is to actually have data in front of us to explore together. So what we're not showing on the website are projections for every grade across schools, but we do have that internally. And it may make sense at some point to have that shared publicly as well. But to Trustee Palmquist's point, you'd want to share that with lots of teaching, with lots of opportunity to learn
I guess the point I'm trying to make is let's just be careful if we're gonna have the narrative that we are experiencing unprecedented enrollment growth. We do have some schools that are busting. It now looks like our 2 brand new schools in Sage Creek, school of choice is going to be closed. If you have new so if that we're probably not gonna see 700 kindergartners where our new communities are growing. So we may see flat enrollment or in all likelihood a decline. It's just my observation. I also wanted to point out, I thought when I was on the enrollment, the one that shows the trends, your drop-down list, just double check, the brand new school may not be on that. That's what I thought. I made that observation a couple weeks ago. And I guess my other question would be.
The new school, okay, so the challenge there, if I may, is because the school is looking at data historically won't show up. So that's what's happening.
Yeah, understood. But you certainly want to include that in the drop-down list. And I guess what I want to clarify is when I look at divisional enrollment, year 17,582 or whatever, we can, if I'm reading it correctly, our international student enrollment is included in that number. Is that correct?
Yeah, and you can look at the details of that as well. So if you actually go into that thumbnail and look at programming, you can look at French immersion, English programming, and international student programming as well.
So what I want to draw your attention to and the rest of your senior leadership team is when you were looking at those enrollment trends, okay? So I remember a few years ago, we had 5% growth, and then I think it was recently a negative. I don't have the numbers handy. I think knowing that that's a September 30th capture, I don't want to use the word misleading. I would encourage you to perhaps run 2 graphs. One with your international students, because that tells you the warm bodies that you're managing, and that relates to your capacity in your infrastructure. If you're the second graph or the primary graph should really exclude the international students if you want to give our funding partners and community a true capture of who are the Manitoba students that this province is funding. Because, for example, with the September 30th capture, let's say semester 1, for whatever reason, we had 300 international students. What that does is that upticks that September 30th number. And what that does is it inflates the enrollment growth. And I think we have to be really careful that we're not including international students, because that's not a true capture of, we're paid. International students, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, is a side hustle for LRSD. We are here to educate, and the province is funding Manitoba children residents. So when we talk about, wow, we have 7% growth over the last 3 years, I beg to differ. If you were to outsource international students, the numbers would reflect differently. So I would certainly encourage you to perhaps run 2 graphs with international and without. I think it was Chip. I do appreciate his question, or was it Ryan's? June 30th, and maybe down the road, you need the September 30th for provincial reporting, but it would also be, if there was a way to also overlap that with the June 30th, so you can see what you reported to the province and then the students that did still come in after the fact. I don't know how you'd layer that data, but how you closed the year at June 30th, I think would be meaningful. So.
Absolutely, all points to be considered. So I am looking at what we're sharing publicly right now, and we do, if you go into the details, you can differentiate the 1.2%, the 216 students that are
right But it's built
international.
into the enrollment trends, right? When you're looking at your growth rates, your year-over-year
Yeah,
growth
that's
rates,
fair.
it's included.
Yeah.
And if you had a banner, September with 400 or 500 international students, you've just spiked that
And we,
enrollment.
and we had, and, right, it would be good to share just the actual trends when it comes to programming, which are down. So as we've continued to grow, post-pandemic, international student programming has decreased. And it would be important to share that with the community.
May I just make an observation about this trustee election?
Sure.
May I? Thank you. I do know, I think before Christmas, Manitoba School Boards Association has already, started its promotion, local voice, local choice. I know there's been a call out in the last year or two to really encourage folks to get involved in trusteeship. There's been a call to action also for more diversity on boards. So I'm gonna ask all 9 of you that, if there is a sincere desire and belief to really encourage more folks to step up and run, I think we all know it can be pretty intimidating and challenging to unseat a very long tenured trustee. So I'm just gonna ask all 9 of you, if anyone has decided that they will not be running, to consider publicly declaring that, to give other folks a longer lead up time to seriously give some thought to if they're run. I don't know how it typically works, if it's once you submit your nomination papers, but that's a very short window. But if you know you're not running and you really do support getting more people to come and can run, give some consideration to a public disclosure.
Okay. Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Could I've got to, Ron has helped me to, I've got to correct myself. So Ron sent me our enrollment projections. Again, I was going from memory. And so I'm wrong. We are projecting an increase in kindergarten, not a big increase. So we had 1,049 students in kindergarten on September 30th, 2025. And we're projecting 1,119 kindergarten students next year.
Okay, so but you hear what I'm saying? We're losing 700 because we have a
Yeah,
huge
so-
grade 12 cohort.
Well, I'd love-
So you might see.
Yep. So in grade 12, we, on September 30, 2025, we reported 1,773 students.
Yep.
And we're projecting 1,841 students in grade 12 next year. And so we're a growing community. Kids are coming, families are buying homes, and the kids are coming to us across all grades. Is the story there?
Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda. We are adjourned. I do need the board to stick around on 2 short items, but certainly let's take a break. Thanks, everybody.
See you, Ron.
I'm sorry. Well, if I've ever offended you, why didn't you say that? I'm sorry, I guess I forgot.
Might have taken account.
I know I switched to call. No, I do know that, but I've heard others like.
More to this.